You are not the body. You are not the mind. You are not the name you were given at birth. You are not your circumstances, your failures, or even your triumphs. You are pure imagination, the eternal I am, the indwelling Christ. And if you would only recognize this, not just with your intellect, but with the deep knowing that comes in stillness, then you would know what it means to let go, to relax, and to trust the universe. Letting go is not an act of giving up. It is the greatest act of faith. For to let go is to acknowledge that the power within you is greater than any effort you could make. When you let go, you cease to force things into existence. You stop manipulating the outer world, and instead you assume the inner state that aligns with your desire. In that assumption, the world bends to you. But first, you must trust. You must relax into the knowing that the Father within you doeth the work. Do not misunderstand the word relax. It does not mean idleness or passivity. It means surrender. And surrender is the highest vibration of power. When you relax, you are declaring that it is already done, that there is nothing more for you to do, nothing more for you to strive toward. It is in this state of peace that manifestations unfold with elegance and precision. You do not create by effort. You create by knowing. You do not attract by chasing. You attract by being. When you close your eyes at night and enter into the silence, you meet the real you, the operant power, the one who can revise the past, change the present, and unfold the future. That still small voice within, that quiet I am, is the very universe you are asked to trust. To trust the universe is to trust yourself, for there is no separation. The world is yourself pushed out, and to attempt to control the external while neglecting the internal is to deny your divine origin. Letting go begins the moment you stop seeking confirmation from the world. The world is only a mirror. If you persist in looking to it for signs, for proofs, for validation, you remain a slave to circumstance. But when you dare to feel the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you truly sink into it and live from it, you have let go of the old man and taken on the new. You are no longer the one who hopes. You are now the one who knows. There is a sacred art to trusting the unseen. It is the art of assuming. When you assume a thing to be true, without evidence, without argument, without contradiction, you place your order in the invisible. And if you persist in that assumption, the visible must comply. The law cannot fail. It has no choice but to match your inner conviction. But you must be still. You must rest in that knowing and let the old world die. For the old world cannot come with you into your new state. The caterpillar must surrender to the cocoon before it can emerge as the butterfly. The more you try to force a manifestation, the more you affirm its absence. The more you talk about it, worry about it, strategize for it, the more you remain in the state of not having it. And that is why many fail to receive what they desire. They have not let go. They still seek. They still beg. But desire is not fulfilled by pleading. It is fulfilled by assuming. The end of yearning is receiving, and receiving is the fruit of inner acceptance. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot say, I have it, and simultaneously dwell in fear that it may not arrive. You cannot imagine a thing clearly and then go out into the world and speak of its impossibility. If your inner conversation contradicts your desire, then the desire is not your dominant state. Change your inner speech. Talk to yourself as if it is already so. Feel the tones of reality. Hear the congratulatory phone call. Walk with the posture of someone who has already won. This is the way. Not by might nor by power, but by spirit. Relaxation is receptivity. It is stillness. It is the fertile soil into which the seed of imagination is planted. If you plant the seed and then dig it up every day to check on it, it will never grow. The universe is no different. Assume your wish has already been granted. Feel the relief. Smile at the invisible. Rest knowing that your part is done. The rest is automatic. The bridge of incidents will unfold on its own. You are not responsible for the how. You are only responsible for the state. This is the secret. Everything is already finished. You are not creating something new. You are selecting from what already is. In the infinite imagination of God, all things exist. Every possibility, Every outcome, every version of you already lives. You simply align with it by assuming its reality. You step into that version of yourself, and the world reconfigures to match. But only when you trust. Only when you relax. Only when you release the need to make it happen. Many say, I've been visualizing, I've been affirming, but nothing is changing. That is because they are holding on. They are clinging to the desire rather than dwelling in its fulfillment. Their faith is still in the external, not in the internal. They wait for the world to prove their assumption, instead of letting their assumption prove the world. But you must flip this. You must put the weight of your belief on the unseen. That is the only way to make it seen. Trusting the universe is not blind. It is spiritual sight. You see with the eyes of imagination. You walk by faith, not by facts. You speak as if the thing you desire has already been received, because in the higher realms it already has. Time is but a construct. In imagination, everything is now. And the moment you truly accept a new state, everything shifts to support it. People move, events align, doors open. But not because you forced it, because you surrendered. What is surrender but the silent agreement with God that you are what you desire to be? What is letting go but the refusal to entertain anything contrary to your vision? It is not weakness, it is mastery. The one who can rest in faith is the one who commands the world. The one who can sit in silence and know it is done is the one who shapes destiny. The one who needs no external proof is the one who becomes the proof. So go within, shut the door, enter the secret place, and from that stillness, declare who you are. Not with your lips, but with your feeling. Let the feeling become your dwelling place. Let it saturate your every thought, and then release. Don't ask when or how or through whom. That is not your concern. If it were your concern, then you would be God, and the world would be your burden. But you are not here to carry burdens. You are here to remember that your Father has already provided. You must become like a child. A child does not doubt when their parent promises a gift. A child receives in innocence, in simplicity, in joy. So must you return to that state. Become light again. Let the weight of worry fall off. Let go of timing. Let go of details. Let go of needing it. For the moment you no longer need it, it is yours. The moment you release your grasp, it finds you. That is the paradox of creation. That is the mystery of trust. Think not of the world. Think only of the state. The world is always reflecting the state. Change the state, and the world must change. That is the law. You cannot be in the state of wealth and see poverty. You cannot be in the state of love and experience rejection. If what you see does not match what you desire, do not be deceived. It is only a shadow of an old state. Persist in the new one. Let it impress itself upon your being. And wait, not with impatience, but with peace. I tell you now, the moment you let go, the current carries you. The river does not need your paddling. It flows toward your destination with or without your effort. But if you resist, if you try to control it, you create turbulence. You disturb what would otherwise be smooth. Your job is not to row. Your job is to trust the current. That current is your inner knowing. It is your assumption. It is the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Dwell in that feeling and the world bends. Do not confuse doing with being. You do not need to do more. You need to be more. Be more of who you truly are. Be the version of you that already has the thing. Speak like them. Walk like them. Sleep like them. Imagine like them. That is the secret. And once you are them, there is nothing to seek, nothing to chase, nothing to wait for. You are already home. Relax. The universe is not outside of you. It is within you. You are the universe. You are the one who decides what reality reflects. And when you align with that truth, you no longer panic when things appear wrong. You no longer beg for signs or synchronicities. You simply know. You say, it is done, and go about your day. That is power. That is trust. That is how you let go. So tonight before you sleep, let go of the day. Let go of the fears, the doubts, the questions. Sink into your imagination. Feel the wish fulfilled. Hear the words you've longed to hear. See the world through the eyes of one who has already received. And then sleep. Drift into that sacred dream, knowing that the seed is planted. And tomorrow walk as though the harvest has come. You are not waiting on the universe. The universe is waiting on you to relax, to trust, to remember. You already are. You already have. You already know. So let go. Be still. And watch the world conform. As you rest in this knowing, allow the natural rhythm of life to carry you. Do not rush to interfere. Do not be anxious about the lack of movement. The most profound changes are often invisible at first. Just as a seed takes root before it ever breaks through the soil, your assumption takes root in the unseen. And the unseen is more real than the seen, for it is the cause, while the seen is only the effect. Those who walk by appearances are forever tossed by the winds of circumstance. But those who walk by inner vision, by the law of assumption, stand firm, even when the world tells them otherwise. You are called to move in faith, not because you are pretending, but because you are pretending, but because you are aligning. Pretending is hollow, assuming is alive. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to embody a higher reality now, not someday. And once you embody that reality inwardly, you can trust the outer world to reflect it in due course. The outer is always behind the inner. What you are now feeling will soon become what you are seeing. But it must begin with the feeling. That is why your primary work is not to manipulate events, but to control your inner state. Not with force, but with gentle attention. Not with panic, but with quiet conviction. Think of the many times you have tried to make something happen through effort. Think of the strain, the frustration, the exhaustion. And now, remember the moments when things simply fell into place, without warning, without struggle, as if by magic. That was not magic. That was the universe responding to your state. When you were relaxed, detached and aligned, the doors opened. When you were clinging, doubting, resisting, the doors remained shut. So the wise soul learns to let go, not because it is easy, but because it is effective. You let go, not to lose control, but to return to the only true control, inner dominion. What does inner dominion look like? It looks like a man or woman who no longer reacts, but chooses, who no longer fears, but imagines, who no longer begs, but lives as if their desire is already theirs. You have seen glimpses of this power in your own life. The moment you truly decided something, it happened. The moment you no longer entertained the opposite, the reality conformed. This is not coincidence. This is law. And the more you practice this law, the more natural it becomes. Relaxation is the soil in which belief takes root. If you affirm with your lips, but deny with your emotions, nothing will grow. But if you speak gently to yourself in the silence of your mind, if you dwell in the end with a calm certainty, then even the most stubborn reality must yield. The universe is not deaf. It is not blind. It is exact, and it answers every vibration with precision. If you emit doubt, you get more doubt. If you emit certainty, you get what certainty brings. There is no partial credit in this law. You receive according to your dominant state. So make peace your dominant state. Make fulfillment your home, not just a place you visit, but where you live. Do not concern yourself with the outer facts. They are only shadows of old beliefs. The moment you change the root, the branches must also change. The moment you revise the inner man, the outer world has no choice but to follow. For the outer is not creative. It is responsive. And you are not a victim of it. You are the cause of it. You are the one who sets the tone. So if the music of life is off key, change the vibration within. Tune your inner instrument. Feel again the beauty of your wish fulfilled. Hear again the sweet song of already having, and rest. Every great teacher has spoken of this power, whether they called it faith, imagination, spirit, or I am. The message was the same. The power is within you. And yet we forget. We look outside. We ask others for permission. We wait for circumstances to change. But nothing changes until we do. The moment you reclaim your imagination, you reclaim your world. And imagination needs relaxation, not effort. It blooms in stillness. It reveals its wonders when you trust. Let go of timing. Let go of comparison. Let go of watching the clock or measuring the process. These only serve to keep you in a state of not having. Instead, step into the timeless. Step into the eternal now. All things are now. You do not become. You simply reveal what you already are. And the fastest way to reveal it is to act as if, not to pretend, but to embody. Walk in it. Think from it. Love from it. Give from it, and life will mirror back the version of you that you have accepted. You may be tempted to say, but I don't see it yet. And to that I say, do not look with mortal eyes. See with the eye of imagination, the eye of God within you.
That eye never closes, never sleeps, never doubts. When you see your desire in your mind's eye with clarity and feeling, you have planted the cause. The harvest must come. But like the farmer, you must let the soil do its work. You do not dig up the seed to make it grow faster. You do not pace through the fields to hurry the rain. You trust, you rest, and you know. If doubt arises, and it may, do not fight it. Do not panic. Simply return to the feeling, return to the state, re-enter the scene, revise it, reimagine it. For imagination is always open to you. It is the door to your freedom. You are never stuck unless you decide to be. You are never bound unless you accept the prison of appearances. But once you remember the secret, that your assumption creates your world, you are free. Do you want love? Assume you are already loved. Do you want wealth? Assume you are already wealthy. Do you want health? Assume you are already whole, and then walk in that identity. Let no thought, no word, no action contradict it. Let your entire being say yes to it, and let go of everything else. Let go of needing proof. Let go of needing reassurance. Let go of the habit of worry. These are only the old man trying to resurrect himself. But you are not him anymore. You are new. You have moved. You have changed states. When you change states, the world must follow. It has no choice. The world is clay, and your assumption is the mold. Form it gently, with faith, with joy, with the playful certainty of a child building a castle in the sand. The child does not worry about the waves. The child builds. The child enjoys. And so must you. Live in the state of already having, not just in words, but in mood, in tone, in vibration. That is the true letting go, not the absence of desire, but the absence of resistance. And so you live, you love, you breathe, you rest, all from the place of knowing that what you seek is already yours. There is nothing more to do, only more to be, and in being all things are added unto you. You begin to notice subtle changes around you, not because you went looking for them, but because you changed your internal atmosphere. People respond to you differently. Opportunities appear, where before there were none. Doors you never imagined begin to open with ease, and yet you do not chase them. You do not cling. You remain still inside, unshaken, because you know the truth of who you are, and what you have accepted as yours. The world simply mirrors back your state, and since your state is one of wholeness, of peace, of having, the world cannot help but reflect it in kind. Others may look upon you, and wonder at your calm. They may ask how you manage to remain so certain, so composed, in a world that seems so chaotic. But you know, your certainty is not based on external assurances. It is born from the inner sanctuary you have built. It is born from the practice of assumption. It is born from the understanding that you are not a servant to fate, but the master of your reality. And with this understanding, you do not need to fight. You do not need to beg. You simply persist in the inner knowing, and the universe takes care of the rest. To persist is not to strain. It is not to push harder. It is to rest more deeply in the assumption. It is to return to it every time the old self tries to speak. It is to say no, gently but firmly, to the voices of doubt. It is to re-enter the scene of your fulfilled desire, again and again, until it becomes your dwelling place. And in that dwelling you are fed. You are guided. You are sustained. You no longer reach for signs. You become the sign. You no longer seek validation. You radiate conviction. Your mere presence speaks of fulfillment, because it flows from within you like a quiet, unstoppable river.
The more you relax, the more power you begin to notice in your imagination. The pictures become clearer. The feelings become deeper. You stop trying to control every little thing. And in that release, you gain a control greater than any force could ever give you. You realize the truth Neville taught, that imagining creates reality, not effort. You realize that by feeling the end, by accepting the outcome now, you have already done the greatest work. Everything that follows is simply the echo of your assumption made flesh. You are not here to suffer. You are not here to strive endlessly. You are here to awaken to your creative power. You are here to remember who you truly are, the operant power, the divine imagination, the I am. And once you truly remember, you no longer ask, when will it happen? You no longer beg the universe for crumbs. You realize that you are the baker, the oven, the flour, and the bread itself. Everything you desire is already within you, waiting for your belief to give it shape, waiting for your imagination to grant it birth. So you let go, not out of weakness, but from supreme trust. You trust the seed you have planted. You trust the process that follows. You trust the timing that may differ from your expectation, but is always perfect. You do not yank the flower from the ground to see if it is growing. You water it with faith. You shine light upon it with joy. You speak to it with love. This is how the new you blossoms. This is how the fulfilled version of yourself takes root in the world. The moment you truly let go, you begin to enjoy life again. You notice the beauty in small things. You appreciate the now because the now is no longer empty. It is pregnant with fulfillment. Even before the physical manifestation appears, your soul is full. You walk as one who already has. You breathe as one who already owns. You speak as one whose word is law. And the world begins to respond, not because you forced it, but because you became it. This is the secret so many miss. They try to make it happen, and in trying they affirm it hasn't. But the one who relaxes, who rests in the vision, who assumes it already is, that one manifests effortlessly, not through magic, but through alignment, not through control, but through surrender. And that surrender is not a defeat. It is a return to your true self, the self that knows, the self that sees, the self that speaks I am, and creates worlds. You were never meant to be at the mercy of the world. You were meant to be its master, not by domination, but by assumption, not by noise, but by stillness. The stillness of knowing that your inner world holds all the keys. The stillness of understanding that imagination is the divine spark in man. And once that spark is lit, nothing can put it out, unless you turn your attention away. So remain attentive, not with tension, but with reverence. Reverence for the sacred power within you. Speak to yourself in the silence of your heart. Speak as one who already has. Say, I am fulfilled. I am loved. I am secure. I am successful. Say it not to convince, but because it is true. And the more you say it, the more real it becomes. The more you feel it, the more the universe must bring it into form. For the universe is bound by law, and the law responds to feeling. The law responds to assumption. The law does not ask questions. It simply reflects. So you do not need to explain your desires to anyone. You do not need to justify your vision. You only need to enter the state. And once you are in the state, persist there gently. Let it soak into your bones. Let it become your new normal. And as it becomes normal to you inwardly, the world will normalize it outwardly. This is the way. This is the path. Not a path of effort, but of alignment. Not a path of striving, but of remembering. You remember who you are. You remember what you have. And in that remembrance you are free. Do not fear the delay. Delay is only the world catching up to your inner change. Do not fear the silence. Silence is the sacred space where transformation brews. Do not fear the void. The void is not emptiness. It is potential. And the one who can sit in the void with peace, trusting that the unseen is forming, is the one who will see the greatest wonders appear. For they have mastered the art of letting go. They have learned the sacred rhythm of rest. They have come home to their inner self, and there they have found all they need. There will be moments when the world still tempts you to worry. There will be days when the old thoughts whisper again. But you are no longer the same. You are aware now. You have seen the truth. And that truth is that nothing can harm the man or woman who lives in the state of their fulfilled desire. They are untouchable, for they are not reacting to the world. They are creating it. They are not chasing outcomes. They are being the outcome. And so your work each day is simple. Return to the state. Relax. Let go of the how, the when, the who. Trust the divine process. Know that all things are being arranged on your behalf, perfectly, effortlessly, and in divine time. You need not control the process. You only need to control the assumption. You only need to feel the end. And from that end you live. You speak. You move. And life becomes your mirror. You begin to realize that letting go is not an act of surrendering your power, but reclaiming it. When you release the need to control the outer, You return to the seat of control, the inner. And in that seat you realize that nothing is denied you. The only limit is your assumption. The only block is your refusal to believe. But now you believe. Now you assume. Now you rest. Not because you are done, but because you are fulfilled. Fulfillment is not waiting at the end of a journey. It is waiting inside the assumption. It is waiting for you to say yes, and mean it. It is waiting for you to feel it real. And when you do, the rest unfolds like a flower opening to the sun, naturally, silently, beautifully. The flower does not ask when it will bloom. It does not question whether it is worthy of the sun. It simply opens because it is its nature to open. You too, in the stillness of assumption, open. You unfold into the person you have always desired to be, and it no longer feels foreign or forced. It feels like coming home. You do not try to become, you recognize you already are. The very desire you once chased now radiates from you as a quiet certainty. Every moment becomes an invitation to return to that inner knowing. And when you catch yourself drifting, when you feel the pull of worry or the echo of doubt, you do not scold yourself. You gently bring yourself back. You close your eyes, take a breath, and return to the state of the wish fulfilled. You remember the truth. I am that. And in remembering you realign. The more you do this, the less you are pulled by the outer, the less you are swayed by appearances. For you have chosen the inner world as your foundation. As Neville said, you are not to concern yourself with the facts. Facts are only past assumptions made visible. You do not fight with them. You do not deny them. You simply transcend them. You assume anew. And in assuming you rise above. You are no longer the product of circumstances. You are the cause of them. You are the dreamer in the dream. And once you know this, you cannot go back to sleep. You are awake now, and the awakened man does not try. He imagines. He does not force, he feels. He does not doubt, he dwells. You do not try to make something happen in the outer world, because you understand the outer world is not where creation begins. The outer world is the screen. The inner world is the projector, and the image projected is always a result of the assumption held. So you polish the lens of your imagination. You clear away the fog of fear. You make space for clarity and precision in your inner vision. And you allow that vision to speak louder than any current condition. No longer do you plead with life to give you what you want. No longer do you beg the heavens for favor. You assume the heavens are within you. You understand that the kingdom of heaven is not a place far off. It is the state you occupy. It is the feeling of having. It is the inner conviction that what you have imagined is already yours. And from this inner kingdom all things flow. From this place of peace miracles emerge, not as anomalies, but as natural outcomes of a mastered mind. This is why you relax. This is why you let go. Not because you are passive, but because you are powerful. Not because you have given up, but because you have taken up residence in the feeling of the end. And that feeling, once established, becomes your new world. Your conversations change. Your energy shifts. Your posture reflects confidence. People sense the difference. Not because you are louder, but because you are aligned. Not because you are trying to be something, but because you are resting in your being. In that being, the universe conspires. In that being, all things are added. You don't need to plot, to strive, to manipulate. You simply trust. Not blind trust, but intelligent trust. A trust built on the deep knowing that the law is perfect, and imagination is the only reality. What you hold within will be held without. What you consent to inwardly will materialize outwardly. This is not superstition. This is the law. This is how reality is shaped. So again and again, you return to the feeling. You nourish it. You revisit the scene that implies your wish is fulfilled. You feel the tone of reality in that scene. You feel the naturalness of it. And when you rise from that session, you carry that tone into the world. You walk as the one who has. You act as though it is already done. Not to fool the world, but because the world follows your feeling. And your feeling is no longer one of lack, but of possession. You do not need to convince anyone else. You do not need to argue for your dreams. You do not even need to speak of them. Your inner state is the true prayer, the real request, and it is heard in the silence.
The universe responds to what you are, not what you say. It reflects what you accept as true. So you accept it now, not in the distant future, not after proof but now. And you live from that acceptance. You breathe from that place. You sleep in that assumption. In the stillness of the night, you do not rehearse problems. You rehearse fulfillment. You do not entertain the worst-case scenario. You dwell in the best. You see it, feel it, and fall asleep in it. This is how you impress the subconscious mind. Not by force, but by repetition. Not by struggle, but by ease. And as the subconscious accepts the new assumption, the outer world must conform. It cannot help but do so, for it is obedient to your inner world. You begin to see every delay as a gift, every detour as a divine arrangement. Because your inner knowing is unshaken, you are no longer moved by time. You are moved by truth. And the truth is that you have already claimed it within. Therefore it must come without, not as a reward, but as a reflection, not as a surprise, but as a certainty. You planted the seed, you watered it with feeling, you kept the soil of your mind fertile with belief, and now the harvest comes. Others may marvel at your peace. They may wonder how you stay so grounded. But you know the secret. You know that real power is silent. It does not shout. It does not prove. It simply is. And because you are that power, you move differently. You trust more. You let go quicker. You do not cling to the outer. You return to the inner. And in that return you find all things are given. You no longer measure your success by appearances. You measure it by your ability to feel it real. You no longer wait for evidence. You become the evidence. You no longer ask if it's working. You know it's done. This knowing becomes your anchor. It becomes your home. And from this home, you create worlds. You walk into situations that once intimidated you, now fully aware of your authority. You speak with quiet confidence. You act with bold assurance. You do not overthink, because the feeling has taken root. The state is now your dwelling. You do not visit it. You live in it. And because you live in it, the world must shape itself to accommodate you. The old fears try to whisper again, but you smile. You know they have no power here. You have seen the light, and the light dispels all shadow. You rest, you relax, and in that release you rise. The universe was never against you. It was simply waiting for you to assume the posture of one who knows. Now you know. Now you trust. Now you allow. So my friend, let this be the moment you surrender. Not to circumstance, but to truth. Let this be the moment you stop chasing and start assuming. Let this be the moment you realize that the only thing that has ever stood between you and your desire is the belief that you needed to try. You don't need to try. You need to trust. You need to enter into the feeling of the wish fulfilled and dwell there calmly, confidently, silently. The universe is not withholding anything from you. It is only echoing back the state you choose to occupy. So choose now. Choose to feel it real. Choose to rest in the knowing that it is already done. And watch as the world bends to mirror your inner conviction. Let go. Relax. Trust the universe, and you will witness the miraculous become your everyday reality.
My friend, you are not here to struggle for what is already yours. You are not here to chase time like a servant begging for permission to live. You are here to declare, to feel, and to know that this time, this moment, this chapter in your life is already yours. You are not waiting for it. You are not hoping it will find you. You are not seeking it as though it were hidden. You are claiming it in full faith as though you have always had it. And in truth, you have. When I say act as if this time is already yours, I do not mean to pretend. I do not mean to wear a mask of confidence. I mean to awaken to your inner authority, to occupy the state of the wish fulfilled, to move through this life not as someone asking for permission, but as one who has received the promise and is now living out its fulfillment. You see, every event in your world begins in imagination. Every season of success, every moment of abundance, every relationship of harmony first existed in the unseen world. And when you act as if this time is already yours, what you are truly doing is planting the seed in the only place that matters, your consciousness. You water it not with anxiety or doubt, but with assumption. The bold assumption that what you want to be, you already are. What you want to have, you already possess. How would you walk into this day if you believed this moment was yours? How would you speak, move, feel, if the thing you desire had already been given? For truly, it has. The only thing that separates the desire from the experience is your belief. And your belief is shaped not by what you see, but by what you assume to be true. This time is not some future hour to be hoped for. It is now, it is always now. And when you shift your inner conversation to match this new identity, the world around you must reflect it. There is no power in the world that can stop the inner assumption from unfolding except your own refusal to believe. My dear one, you have within you the eternal artist, the one who paints with thoughts and speaks life into form. This artist is your imagination. It is God in action. And when you assume this time is already yours, you are not being arrogant, you are being faithful. You are honoring the divine power within. You are saying, I am not separate from my desire, I am one with it. I am not a beggar, I am not a wanderer. I am the creator, and I now choose to dwell in the end. Let me be clear. Acting as if is not about manipulation. It is not a game for the mind. It is a state of being. It is feeling the reality of your wish with such depth, such conviction, that the outer world cannot help but conform. Your body responds. Your actions align. And the world, without resistance, bends to your command. Have you not seen it already? When you believed you were lucky, things flowed. When you believed they loved you, they did. When you knew you were successful, opportunities arose, but when you doubted, the world mirrored back the same uncertainty. It was never the world that held you back, it was always the state you occupied. Now I ask you to step into a new state, one where this time, this dream, this goal is already accomplished. Walk with the posture of one who is complete. Speak with the authority of one who knows. You are not trying to convince the world, you are convincing yourself, and once you do, the world will play along. There is no force more creative than assumption. It does not wait for evidence. It creates evidence. It builds bridges of incidents. It shifts the tides. It rewrites the past, molds the present, and births the future. To act as if is not to lie, it is to prophesy. It is to stand at the end and declare it finished. And what do I mean by this time? I mean the time you said would be different. The time you said you'd finally have the love, the wealth, the peace, the breakthrough. I mean the version of you who no longer waits, no longer doubts, no longer seeks approval. I mean the time you believed you were born for, but secretly feared was never going to come. That time is here. It is now, and it is yours. But you must occupy it. You must dwell in it, not just visit it in fantasy. Feel it in your bones. Live it in your conversations. Let it become your natural tone. You must abandon the old identity, the one that said, not yet, I'm not ready, maybe later. Those words belong to the old you. You are now speaking from the throne of assumption, and the one who assumes, creates. You are not too late. You are not too early. You are right on time, because time bends for the one who lives from the end. The delay you once feared was never real. It was just the echo of an old state. But now, you no longer serve the echo. You serve the voice of creation. And creation says, it is done. Do not wait for someone else to validate your new identity. Do not look to the mirror of the world for permission. The world is only a reflection. It cannot show you what you do not. First show yourself. So begin now. See yourself as the one who has already succeeded, already healed, already loved, already chosen, already secure, already prosperous, already powerful. You may say, but Neville, I don't feel it yet. And I say to you, feel it anyway. You are not the victim of your feelings, you are their master. The feeling is the secret. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even when your senses deny it, especially when your senses deny it. For that is when faith is most potent. To feel it real is to impress the subconscious. And once impressed, the subconscious will execute the plan. It will draw to you all that is necessary. People, places, timing, resources,
They will all align, not by force, but by law, divine law. Now listen closely. You do not need to know the how, you only need to know the state. When you are in the right state, the how becomes irrelevant. You are not the engineer of the path, you are the chooser of the end. And once the end is chosen and felt as real, the path unfolds with divine precision. So I ask you now, what would you do today if you truly believe this time is yours? Would you walk with confidence? Would you release old fears? Would you smile at strangers, knowing the universe is conspiring in your favor? Then do it. Do it not because you see the evidence, but because you are the evidence. You are the one who must move first, not the world. You must assume the position of the fulfilled one. And from that place, life responds. It cannot help it. It is law. I urge you, stop asking for what you already have. Stop waiting for signs when you are the sign. Stop postponing your destiny when all that is required is a shift in awareness. This is not about wishful thinking. This is about living in the end, knowing that what is true within must become true without. Now say to yourself, this time is mine, not because I earned it through effort, but because I accepted it through assumption. This time belongs to me, not by force, but by divine right. I no longer chase. I no longer fear. I no longer doubt. I assume it. I feel it. I live it. Do not let the outer world shake you. It will test you. It may whisper the old lies. It may show you remnants of the old state, but pay them no mind. They are fading shadows. The new reality is already forming. Hold the feeling. Nurture the assumption. Be loyal to your vision, even when the world is disloyal to your senses. This is the sacred secret. Act as if, not because you are deceiving yourself, but because you are revealing your true self. The self that is one with God. The self that never lacked. The self that never lacked. The self that never needed proof. The self that knows all things are possible to the one who believes. Let me leave you with this. There is no future moment more powerful than now. There is no coming time more sacred than the one you occupy in consciousness. So stop waiting for someday. Act as if this time is already yours. And you will find, as countless others have, that the universe rushes in to support you, to affirm you, to confirm the truth you dared to believe. You are not becoming, you already are. You are not on your way, you have arrived. Feel that, know that, and live from that. For in doing so, you activate the power that shapes worlds. You awaken the divine imagination. And you claim the time that has always in truth been yours. So I ask you again, who are you now? The one who waits, or the one who acts as if? Choose wisely. Choose boldly. And above all, choose now. As you begin to dwell more and more in this state, something remarkable happens. You no longer seek the outer world for confirmation, because the inner world becomes more vivid, more real, more alive than anything your senses can show you. You begin to see with the eyes of imagination, and in that vision, you walk through doors that once seemed locked, not because the doors changed, but because you changed the one who approaches them. You, in the fullness of assumption, now move with quiet certainty that all is unfolding in perfect harmony. You may be tempted to measure the progress with your physical eyes. You may look for signs, symbols, people acting differently. But remember, these things are effects, not causes. The cause is always internal. The effect is always the mirror. Do not be fooled by appearances. Even when the outer world looks unchanged, the inner movement is already at work. The moment you assumed this time was yours, the world began its rearrangement. It often happens in ways your logical mind cannot comprehend. A chance meeting, a delay that reveals a better opportunity, an impulse that moves you to take action that you would never have taken from the old state. You begin to flow, not with effort, but with a quiet knowing. And as you persist in this feeling of already having, already being, already experiencing, the bridge of incidents becomes clearer. You look back and realize it all worked together. Not because you forced it, but because you believed. You are not creating from scratch. You are selecting from the infinite states that already exist in the eternal now. There is a version of you who is already living this fulfilled time. And when you feel from that version, when you merge your awareness with theirs, you begin to bring that version into being. It's not about changing the world, it's about changing the self who perceives the world. How do you do this? Through the simple but powerful act of assumption. through daily inner conversations that reflect your new reality, through mental rehearsals where you hear the congratulations, see the results, feel the satisfaction. You occupy the state until it becomes your home, until the world has no choice but to match it. Many people ask, but what if I get discouraged? To that I say, do not measure your assumption by how often you feel discouraged. Measure it by how faithfully you return. Return again and again to the state of the wish fulfilled. Do not be a servant to your moods. Be the master of them. Feelings will come and go, but assumption is a decision, and once made, it will carry you through storms, doubts, and appearances. The world around you may still speak the old story, but within, you are now singing a new song, a song of fulfillment, of peace, of power. And eventually the world will hear it too. Eventually the echo will catch up to the voice, but never wait for the echo. Be the voice. Be the sound of certainty in a world that has forgotten what it means to live from the end. Every moment, you are being asked to choose, do I return to the old state of lack, waiting, striving? Or do I remain in the new state of fullness, of answered prayer, of embodied desire? And in each choice, the future takes shape. In each assumption, the outcome is decided. And when you assume this time is already yours, you release all desperation. You stop trying to prove anything. You stop grasping at outcomes, because you already have it. You are it. You are not hungry for the future. You are satisfied in the now. And in that satisfaction, you become magnetic. The world begins to bend around you, not because you chased it, but because you became it. You see, to act as if this time is yours, is to bring the kingdom of heaven within into visibility. It is to align with your true nature, not as someone separate from your desires, but as someone one with them. You don't need to scream your affirmation to the heavens. You don't need to prove your worthiness. You simply need to dwell in the feeling that it is already so. That feeling, if sustained, will begin to shape your posture, your words, your responses. People will feel something different in you, though they won't be able to name it. They will sense your certainty, your calm, your clarity. And without knowing why, they will begin to reflect back the version of you that you have chosen to be. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to remain loyal to your inner world. The world within is the cause of everything. Remain faithful to the assumption that this time is yours, not later, not after you earn it, not after you fix yourself. Now. Now is the only time you will ever truly possess. And when you fill the now with the feeling of already being, already having, already living, then time collapses. And what was someday becomes today. It comes naturally, effortlessly. For that is the way of divine law. Creation is finished. The only question is, which version of creation are you selecting? You do not climb a ladder to your dream. You shift your state. You surrender the old story. You assume the new identity. And the ladder appears beneath your feet. One step, then another. And before you know it, you are standing where you once dreamed to be, not because you fought your way there, but because you believed your way there. Even your breathing begins to change when you act as if it slows, deepens. You are no longer gasping for future air. You are breathing the oxygen of fulfillment. You are no longer anxious for arrival. You are at home in your chosen reality. And let me remind you, there is no try in this work. There is only being. To try is to doubt. To try is to say, maybe. But to assume is to say, it is. It is mine. It is done. It is real. Even if only I can see it now, it will soon be so clear. The world cannot ignore it. You are not here to wait for a miracle. You are the miracle. You are not here to hope for better circumstances. You are the cause of better circumstances. And when you act from this knowing, you free yourself from the tyranny of delay. You walk into the moment fully alive, fully awake, fully aligned with the truth of who you are. The question is never, will it come? The question is always, can I remain in the state of already having? Because once you are there, you will see what others cannot see. You will hear what others cannot hear. You will know what others are still waiting to believe. You will know that the world is yourself pushed out, and that by changing yourself, you change everything. So hold firm. Walk in the assumption. Let it color your thoughts, your choices, your routines. When doubt whispers, smile, not in resistance, but in recognition. For doubt is simply the echo of a former state, and you are no longer there. You have moved. You are now living from a higher altitude. And from here, all things are possible. You no longer need to explain. You no longer need to argue. Your results will speak louder than any words. Your reality will become your testimony. You will be living proof of what happens when a soul dares to act as if, when a mind dares to believe in the invisible, when a heart dares to feel before seeing. You are the beginning and the end of your experience, the Alpha and the Omega. You are the Word made flesh, and in every moment, you are creating, not by effort, but by assumption. So assume something new, assume something bold, assume something bold, assume something worthy of the divine nature that breathes within you. Never forget this time, this chapter, this season of your life. It is not a test. It is not a delay. It is not a lesson. It is an invitation to rise, to occupy the throne, to walk as if the promise is already fulfilled, to feel the joy of the end, even while standing in the middle.
This is how the law works. This is how reality bends. And this is how you transcend time, by no longer waiting for it to grant you permission, but by declaring with all your being that the permission has already been given. You declare, not with desperation, but with authority, not from lack, but from fullness. You declare it in silence, in stillness, in imagination. You declare it every time you think, speak, or feel in alignment with the fulfilled state. And from this declaration flows all manner of unfolding. You must understand the outer world is obedient to the inner command that may not seem so immediately, because physical reality is slow to catch up. But like a ship turning on the ocean, it responds without fail to the shift in your inner compass. When you face toward fulfillment, the waves of life will follow, the wind will align, the current will carry you, and though you may not see the shore yet, you will know in your bones, you are already there. Every delay you perceive is merely the time it takes for your new assumption to saturate your being. The world does not change because you wish it to. It changes because you become the one who lives in that new world. You no longer hope. You no longer plead. You live it. You speak it in the secret language of imagination. You sit in the room you've never seen with your eyes but know by heart. You hear your name spoken in rooms you've never entered, but already feel familiar. You walk streets that may not exist yet physically, but already live in you vibrationally. You touch, taste, breathe in the atmosphere of the dream fulfilled, and it becomes your new oxygen. It becomes the air of your soul. Others will ask, but how do I know I'm doing it right? And I will tell you, you'll know by the peace that overtakes you. Not a peace that comes from external proof, but one that arises when you finally stop asking whether it's working. When you no longer rush to the mirror of the world for reflection, but instead close your eyes and find everything you need there. When you realize that the invisible realm is not the shadow, it is the source. This time is yours not because it is owed to you, but because you have claimed it. You do not wait for the world to hand you the key. You become the door. And when you become the door, all things must pass through you. All things must conform to the new shape of your inner world. The world, like a patient servant, bows to the one who has mastered their imagination. You become gentle not out of weakness, but because you are no longer striving. You are no longer trying to convince, persuade, or force life to give you what you already possess. You become light in your being and firm in your conviction. And from this combination your manifestations come like whispers, soft, steady, certain. Acting as if is not pretending. It is not delusion. It is alignment with a higher truth. It is knowing that the visible is always a reflection of the invisible. And so you tend to the garden of your mind, not with worry, but with reverence. You water it with assumption. You weed it of doubt. You nurture it with repetition, emotion, and vision. And in time the bloom must come. Those who understand this walk the earth differently. They move with the grace of fulfillment. They speak with the confidence of one who has nothing to prove. They rest in the knowing that what is theirs can never be denied. And so they do not chase. They attract. They do not beg. They allow. They do not grasp. They receive. It is this calm certainty that unlocks the gates. It is this poise of assumption that opens the way. When you act as if this time is yours, You no longer worry about when or how. You no longer exhaust yourself with timelines and techniques. You trust the process because you have become the process. You trust the law because you are living it. You trust the vision because it now lives in you. There is nothing you need outside of you to begin. No condition must change. No person must cooperate. The power is and always has been within you. The only shift required is the one in consciousness. Move into the state where the time is already yours, and stay there. Return there. Dwell there until it becomes the most natural thing in the world. Your inner conversations must now reflect the new state. Speak to yourself as one who already is. Feel for the rhythm of the fulfilled heart. Let your dominant vibration be one of thanksgiving, not for what is coming, but for what already is. And in that gratitude you accelerate the unfolding. You collapse the gap. You turn tomorrow into today. Do not fear the silence between planting and harvest. That silence is sacred. It is the silence of creation. And though nothing may appear to be happening, beneath the surface, everything is happening. Your assumption is the seed. Your persistence is the sun. Your inner silence is the soil. Together they form the conditions for inevitable manifestation. So you keep walking, not toward, but from. You keep speaking, not to get, but because you already have. You keep imagining not to escape reality, but to build it. And in doing so you fulfill the law in its highest form. You become the author and the finisher of your faith. This is the way of all true transformation. It is not noisy. It is not desperate. It is not scattered. It is not scattered. It is quiet, certain, and unwavering. The world may not understand you. That is not your concern. You are no longer bound by consensus. You live by inner revelation. You are not a product of your circumstances. You are the cause of them. Once you fully embrace that this time is already yours, you will find that time itself begins to bend in your favor. Opportunities will arrive ahead of schedule. People will show up with the very thing you need. Paths will open where walls once stood. But none of this will surprise you, because in your inner world it has already happened. You will begin to smile, not because of what is happening, but because you already knew it would. You will move with a softness that comes only from certainty, and that certainty will draw to you every resource, every connection, every breakthrough needed to maintain the outer reflection of your inner state. You are not manifesting for the future. You are manifesting for the now. You are not waiting. You are choosing. And in that choice you activate the current of divine flow. You enter the timeless place where all things are already complete. And from that place you manifest effortlessly, not through force, but through alignment. So take a breath and know it is already done. The moment you assumed it, it became yours. Your only work is to stay there, to live in the joy of it, to feel the aliveness of it, to carry it in your thoughts, your tone, your touch. This is the way of the awakened. This is the secret of creation. This is the truth that sets you free. This is the truth that sets you free. As you dwell in this truth, something remarkable happens. You forget to question. You forget to doubt. The old self, the one who used to wait and worry and wonder, begins to dissolve, and in its place emerges a new being, a higher version of yourself who no longer seeks evidence, because they are the evidence. You begin to walk as the proof of your own imagination. The people around you may not understand how you changed. They may say you're different. You seem lighter. Things always go your way now. But they won't see the countless invisible acts you performed in the theater of your mind. They won't see the scenes you played in silence, the words you repeated in the solitude of night, the state you persisted in, even when the world screamed otherwise. But it doesn't matter if they see, because you know that your entire outer world has become the mirror of your inner world. You know that the conversations, the meetings, the bank accounts, the relationships, all of it, is simply echoing back your sustained assumption. And so you smile, not because of what appears, but because you recognize the voice of your own consciousness in every unfolding scene. This knowing grows deeper the longer you remain in it. It becomes your foundation. It becomes the stillness beneath every storm. You are no longer swayed by temporary appearances, because you understand they are just the remnants of past thoughts. They are not final. They are not real in any lasting sense. Only the assumption you hold now has power. Only the state you occupy now is active. And so when something contrary arises, you do not react. You revise.
You do not argue with appearances. You return to your inner dwelling. You know that the world cannot resist your persistent assumption. It must reflect it. It has no choice. That is the law. That is the gift. That is the power you were born with. Whether you use it knowingly or not, there is no need to struggle anymore. The striving ends the moment you fully embrace that this time is already yours, that the version of you who has everything you desire already exists within your consciousness. You are not building something new from scratch. You are revealing what was always there. You are uncovering the treasure buried beneath the rubble of doubt and disbelief. This treasure is not far. It is here, now waiting for your recognition, waiting for your embrace, waiting for you to say with conviction, yes, this is mine. Not in arrogance, but in faith, not in fantasy, but in truth, because truth once felt becomes the only reality worth living. Others may continue to chase, to hustle, to grind. Let them. You have discovered a higher way, a way that begins and ends within, a way where manifestation is not effort, but expression, a way where your inner world becomes so rich, so vivid, so real, that the outer world must bow to it, must conform to it, must become it. You walk through life with quiet assurance, knowing that your world rearranges itself around your dominant state. You do not try to make it happen. You allow it. You expect it. You assume it. And in that assumption the universe is activated. This is not magic. It is law. Divine law. Immutable, impartial, and always operating. You need only align with it. You need only live in the end. Not just for a moment but as a lifestyle, as your natural dwelling place, as your default home in consciousness. So do not look ahead with worry. Look within with certainty. For everything you seek is already present in your imagination. Everything you desire is already yours in the unseen. And the more you act from this truth, the faster it becomes seen. The faster it materializes. The faster it moves from thought to thing. Because you are not chasing a dream. You are embodying it. You are not hoping for a miracle. You are being the miracle. And when you live from this state consistently, the world cannot help but catch up. It has no choice but to yield to the one who knows who they are. You are not becoming, you are remembering. You are not creating, you are selecting. You are not asking, you are receiving. And in this receiving you become the lighthouse to others. You become the example, the evidence, the living proof of the power of imagination and assumption. So the cycle continues, not from need but from joy, not from effort, but from embodiment. You imagine more because you enjoy it. You dwell in fulfillment because it is your nature. You act as if because it is simply who you are now. You cannot return to the old way of thinking, because you've seen too much, felt too much, known too much. What you now know can never be unknown. What you've now felt can never be unfelt. You've crossed a threshold. You've stepped into a new reality. And though the world may take a moment to catch up, you are unmoved. You are unshaken. You are anchored in the vision of the fulfilled desire. And from that place life bends to your will. This is not pride. This is not delusion. This is the ultimate humility, the surrender to the divine nature within you, the realization that you are not separate from the source of creation, but one with it, that you and your Father are one, that imagination is God, that assumption is the path, and that the present moment fully claimed contains all the riches of heaven. You no longer search, you see. You no longer wait, you welcome. You no longer try, you trust, because you have felt the reality within, and once you feel it, nothing else will satisfy. You will no longer be content with partial living. You will no longer accept the lie of lack. You will no longer entertain thoughts of delay or denial. You will only dwell in what is true, and what is true is this: it is already yours, now, not later, not when circumstances align, not when someone else says yes, not when the conditions are perfect. But now, because you said so, because you believed it, because you felt it real. This is your power. This is your truth. This is the way of effortless creation. To act as if is to become. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to summon heaven to earth. To persist in the inner knowing is to reign over the outer world. You are not waiting for anything. Everything is waiting for you to wake up. Now that you are awake, you cannot return to sleep. You cannot unsee the truth. You cannot unfeel the joy. You are walking in the fulfilled dream, and every step confirms it. Every breath amplifies it. Every moment deepens it. And the more you live this way, the more life rises up to meet you with miracles, ease and abundance beyond what you once thought possible. Remember this above all else. The moment you choose to act as if this time is already yours, you step into a sacred power, the power to rewrite your reality from the inside out. You no longer wait for the world to change. You change from within, and the world follows. This is not mere wishful thinking, but the very law of creation at work. The kingdom you seek is not distant. It lives in your imagination, your assumption, your unwavering faith. So claim it boldly, live it fully, speak it silently, become it utterly. For in doing so you awaken the divine architect within you, and nothing can stand in the way of what you have already made real in your mind and heart. The time is yours. Now, step into it with the authority of the fulfilled, and watch as the universe rearranges itself to honor the truth you embody. Your life, your dreams, your empire are waiting for you to recognize them as already done. Act as if, and so it is.